There will never be a single conclusive response in the greatest dispute in history. Nonetheless, the majority of MMA fans believe that one of the most gifted athletes to have ever graced the octagon is former light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. Jon Jones is considered the greatest champion of all time, despite not being a martial artist and coming from a family of sportsmen. At only 33 years old, it appears that there are remaining chapters left in Jones' career despite him accomplishing so much already. This is the story of Jon "Bones" Jones. Born in Rochester, New York in 1987, Jon was the middle child of three brothers with an older sister who passed away before turning 18. Despite his father being a pastor, the three brothers all became professional athletes. They all competed in football in their teens, with his older brother Arthur and younger brother Chandler going on to play in the NFL. Playing 8 seasons in the NFL, Arthur would go on to win the Super Bowl in 2012 with the Chandler would also win the Super Bowl in 2014 with the New England Patriots, and is a 2-time first-team All-Pro winner. While his brothers had gravitated towards football, Jones had shown an enthusiasm for wrestling and became a state champion. His long and lanky frame had led his football coach to give him the nickname Bones. After dropping out of Mooresville State College, Jon Jones started his career in MMA during April of 2008. After racking up 6 professional wins with no losses in 4 months, Jones was given a late-notice fight opportunity from the UFC. Stepping into UFC 87 to take on Andrew Guzmo, Jones clearly had massive potential from an early stage. He won the bout via unanimous decision and followed it up with 2 more wins over Stephen Bonner and Jake O'Brien. In his 4th UFC fight against Matt Hamill, Jones suffered the one blemish on his professional record. After dominating the fight, Jones was disqualified after he hit Hamill with a downwards elbow, going against the 12-6 rule. UFC President Dana White was furious about the disqualification and to this day talks about the result being overturned. Despite the loss, Jones refused to let this slow him down and followed up his disappointing end to 2009 with 3 stoppage wins in 14 months. Defeating Brandon Vera and Vladimir Matyshenko via TKO, Jones took on Ryan Bader in February of 2011. Jones had said in an interview that Dana White told him that if he finished his next 2 fights, he would get a title shot. While he went on to submit the undefeated Ryan Bader, everything changed after that fight. In the post-fight interview, it was announced that his teammate, Rashad Evans, was injured and that Jones would step into his place and challenge Mauricio Shogunhua for the light heavyweight title at UFC 128. There was no question that Jones had earned this shot and by this point was resembling the Jon Jones that everybody knows. His unique and creative striking paired with his wrestling ability had been on show from his very first UFC fight, utilizing elbow strikes and spinning kicks in his very first bout. Stepping up to challenge a legend of the sport, Jon Jones put on a dominant performance and outclassed the champion throughout the fight. With a 3rd-round finish, Jon became the youngest UFC champion at just 23 years of age. This phase of Jon's career became about proving himself as the best light heavyweight on the planet against the division's legends. With the UFC's marquee division being the light heavyweights, some of the sport's most iconic fighters would make up its roster. After he had taken Evans' place in the title fight, Jones' first title defense was scheduled to be his teammate, but several injuries stopped the fight from happening. Instead, his first 2 title defenses came against Quinton Rampage Jackson and Lyoto Machida, with Jones submitting both to retain his title. After Jones had become the new golden boy at Jackson Wink MMA, a rivalry had started between himself and his teammate, Rashad Evans. The champion put an end to this with a completely dominant win over Evans and moved on to the next chapter of his career. Something else Jones' champion reign would become known for is his tendency to try to beat his challengers at their own game. With huge sponsors like Nike and Gatorade now behind him, Jones came close to losing his belt in his next defense against Vitor Belfort. When caught in a nasty armbar in the first round, Jones gritted his teeth through it and somehow escaped it, saying that after the fight it was numb from that moment on. When faced with adversity, Jones put on another great performance to overcome Belfort's best efforts. After coaching on The Ultimate Fighter alongside Chael Sonnen, Jones' 5th title defense came against the American Gangster, who he stopped in the opening round. Despite his complete destruction of Sonnen, the fight is better known for Jones' post-fight interview, where he realized he suffered a huge injury to his toe that would have forced the fight to be stopped if he hadn't finished Sonnen as fast as he did. Jones' next bout was scheduled to be a huge defense against the undefeated Daniel Cormier, but after suffering an injury, in stepped rising contender Alexander Gustafsson. In what some would consider the best title fight in UFC history, Gustafsson seemingly had Jones beat after no one gave him a chance. In the second half of the fight, Jones rallied and started to take control, doing enough in the judges' eyes to win him a unanimous decision, though fans still debate that Gustafsson won the fight. This incredible war revealed several chinks in Jones' armor. Not only had Gustafsson dominated the champion for the opening rounds, questions about Jones' commitment began to arise. After his 7th consecutive title defense against Glover Teixeira at UFC 172, the huge bout between Jones and Cormier would finally take place. Seemingly on a collision course with each other, when they clashed heads, it would shake the MMA world. Now, iconic moments in the build-up, like the Media Day brawl, took the hype for this fight to a whole new level. In what many predicted to be his toughest test to date, Jones won a comfortable decision across the board. Once again, he attempted to beat his challenger at his own game, becoming the first man to take Daniel Cormier, a former Olympic wrestler, down inside of a cage. The third part of Jones' legacy as a champion then kicked in, one filled with controversies. Following his match with Cormier, it was revealed that Jones had failed a drug test before the fight, showing that he had cocaine in his system that resulted in a fine. In 2015, Jones was publicly stripped of his title after he was involved in a hit-and-run collision with a pregnant woman. In his time away from the sport, Cormier had become the new champion, defeating Anthony Johnson for the vacant light heavyweight belt. Once Jones returned in April of 2016, he defeated late-notice replacement Oven Street Prue for the interim title. Unfortunately, he was stripped of that title as well and suspended after failing a drug test ahead of his unification bout with Cormier at UFC 200. At his hearing, it was concluded that Jon Jones didn't intentionally take any banned substances, and as a result, he was suspended for just 1 year. On his second return, Jones went straight into a title fight with Cormier at UFC 214 in July of 2017. Though he ultimately won the fight and stopped Cormier to win back his crown, it was a short-lived comeback story. Jones was suspended and stripped for a third time following another positive drug test, and the fight was ruled a no contest, with Cormier being given back his belt. Once again, it was ruled that Jones hadn't intentionally cheated, and after giving substantial assistance to USADA, his suspension was reduced to 15 months. Jones finally made his return at UFC 232 in December of 2018, and with Daniel Cormier now fighting at heavyweight, he won back his vacant title. Proving what he had said about not training for the first Gustafsson fight, Jones dominated their rematch and stopped the Swede in the third round. Now with a lot to prove after his period of controversy, Jones promised a season of activity to make up for lost time. While he delivered on his promise to stay active, his performances unfortunately left fans cold. 3 consecutive unanimous decision wins over new challengers like Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominic Reyes did little to win back the fans, with many believing he should have lost the decision against Reyes. With his win against Reyes at UFC 247, he broke the record for most wins in UFC title fight history with 14, despite just 7 of the 21 media outlets scoring the fight in his favor. After Jones admitted that he was simply not motivated by what the light heavyweight division had to offer, he vacated his light heavyweight title. After years of speculation, Jones confirmed that he would be moving up to heavyweight and taking the time to bulk up his frame, with Jon Jones now eyeing a fight with heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. The next phase of Jon's career is just beginning, one that could see him define his legacy by becoming the heavyweight champion and taking on some of the most dangerous men on the planet. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.